creep.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Flying saucers, which are really, yeah, you got it, time machines. I think a lot about this kind of stuff.
You think this is the real Quaid? It is.
All right, welcome back to Terrortinos. In this episode, we're going to be talking about the movies that scarred us. We're going to be diving into three particular scenes from three different movies that left a mark, but not in a good way. Three scenes that kind of emotionally scarred us, and we want to kind of have a fun kind of nostalgia trip when we're talking about these three scenes. And it's actually a topic that you came up with, Angel. Why the concept?
Well, my thing is there's kind of like the movies that inspire you, that make you want to do certain things or try certain things. And then there's the movies that you don't forget because they left a scar. Like, you don't walk by a cracked closet door, you know what I mean? Something like that, because something bad that happened. And I just always remember those ones first. It's like they say in poker, you don't remember your big wins, but you remember your close losses. So it's like, yeah, it's like some things you try to remember and other ones you can't forget. And these are definitely can't forgets.
Yeah, I was going back in my memory banks and coming up with three particular movies that really kind of affected me when I was younger. And there was a couple of movies that I would say, did I make this up? Or was this a real memory, you know? And I had to really kind of concentrate and come up with three different things. And yeah, I think this is a great idea for a topic. I think we're going to leave this open so we could come back and dip into it later. Maybe this could be a continuous topic that we go back to.
Yeah, because 3 is really not even a fair. It's not even like a 1% of the total scenes in movies that scarred us.
So let's get into it. By the way, I should mention that my name is Michael Morales, and I'm here with
Angel. Let's have another De Leon.
And so this is a podcast that kind of deals with movies that we grew up with, and we love to talk about some of the movies that we love, and in this case, we're going to be talking about some of the movies that really scared the shit out of us. Let's start with you.
Wait, real quick before we start, can I give one shout out?
Oh yeah,
I know we have like 2 listeners, but let me name one. Her name is Anita. I actually met her when me and your sister, Mike, used to work back in the day. She's a new listener, and she likes to listen to us while she walks. I guess we take her mind off all the ghetto areas she has to walk through. She just concentrates on our stories, our voices, help her get her through. So, Anita, if you're listening to this one, or if we, I don't know, we could have always lost you by now, but I just want to say hi to you.
Well, this is for you.
Yeah, this is for you.
All right, let's start with you, Angel. Let's start with your first big horror movie scene that really scared the shit out of you.
Okay, see, you say big movie. These are not big movies. Like okay. I told you before, like this is my whole premise for my psyche is like me and my brother, we had the little video store. We used to rent everything in the horror from A to Z. Like we'd get there at 10 when it opened. We'd watch a movie and return it like at noon. He wouldn't charge us another $1. It was always $1. Okay, so my first one is there was a movie, 1987, called The Kindred.
Dear God, he's still living. He's still alive.
The Kindred.
And how many of them were there?
4. Then you must go up there this instant and end the experiment. Burn the journals.
Oh my God!
The Kindred. We are not all the same creature under the skin.
It was a Stephen Carpenter movie, not to be confused with John Carpenter, who makes good movies. And I remember watching this movie because we rented it because of the cover. It was a baby bottle, and in the baby bottle had like this lizard-looking thing in there. So we figured, cool, like aliens, monsters, whatever. So what it's actually about is like a mad scientist. He's kind of trying to play God. Anyway, the scene that used to bug me was this guy goes to this house and he's ringing on the doorbell, and there's a guy downstairs, and all you hear is this cat meowing.
Dr. Lloyd.
What the hell are you doing here? I thought I told you never to come here.
Morning, Dr. Lloyd.
And as you pan in, it looks like the guy's kind of doing surgery. And then as you look closer, like it gets closer, what it is, it's he's working on a cat, but he's got the cat open. and the cat has no skin. Okay, so it's just tendons and meat, and you know what I mean. It looks like just like when you look at the
medical books,
the medical books, and it's just like just no skin, and it's still meowing and moving, but like not in real life. It would have been moving, like twitching, but it's just kind of the head's moving back and forth. The tail is still wiggling, and the guy is like trying to ignore the doorbell, and he's still cutting into the cat, and the cat is still meowing. And the guy's like, damn it. And he takes his towel and just puts it over the cat. And like he answers the doorbell, like the intercom thing. And as he's talking in the background, you still hear the cat and you still see the sheet moving.
You haven't fallen in love with chemicals, have you, Harry?
Hey, that's my business.
All right, that's your business.
It fucked me up. That was the weirdest thing I'd ever. It was almost like it had no reason to be there. And it wasn't even like, they didn't even like the effect of, they wanted to show how they did this cat, because it wasn't even like they zoomed in on the cat. Uh-huh. It was just in front of the dude. So you're just looking, and in the foreground, as you're looking, you're like, what the hell? And then it's like, is that a cat? And you're listening, and then all of a sudden, like, that cat's got no skin. You know what I mean? It's just, and I think I was 10, maybe?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's something odd.
Wait, so is this a zombie movie?
No, it was one of those, he's just trying to like split DNA. It's like, okay, the actual actor that did it, I had to look him up. I think it was Rod Steiger.
Okay.
And who he was the, you ever seen Pool Hall Junkies?
No, but
that's the only other thing I've seen him in, because he's been in a ton of movies, but he's like an older actor.
He was in Mars Attack.
Yeah. He's the guy that when they do the movie clips where he's like, where he screams.
Yeah, what was it? What was he screaming? I can't remember.
We have to strike now, sir. Annihilate, kill. Shut up! Shut up!
Like, no, like,
shit.
Yeah, he's the one screaming. Yeah, that guy.
The Tim Burton, kind of great film, Mars Attacks. And so he's playing the guy who's cutting into
He's the scientist. He's the one that's cutting into the cat.
And so is the cat dead, or is it
the cat's alive?
Oh shit!
He's trying to see how much he can do to the cat before the cat finally just expires. Basically, is what I think it is.
What the fuck?
He's
is this
testing
movie?
the limits because he's like a mad scientist. He's trying to like beat God and splice people together. I watched the whole thing again the other night just because we're coming up with the stuff.
Uh-huh.
And in the end, it ended, and I still had almost no idea what it was about.
And this is something that you rented, and it was something that you saw in your bedroom or something like that?
No, when I was 10, we watched it in the living room.
Uh-huh.
And it was just like, and I looked, it was funny because I remember we were watching it, and I looked at my brother, and he was just watching it. I don't think he caught on that the cat was skinless. Because maybe if the cat was just alive, or it wouldn't have been so bad, like maybe the guy's like a torture guy, but it didn't have any skin. And it's like, so when it moved, it's kind of like you could see that. I don't know, like whoever did the actual effects was kind of cool, but I think you can kind of see that they sprayed it down to make it look moist, so that when it moved, like the little red tendon things it looked like almost like the muscle was flexing. Dude, it was disgusting, and I felt the same way when I watched it the other day as when I first watched it.
Wow, really? Wow.
Like, yeah, it's disgusting.
It still holds something in your stomach.
Yeah, and I know it's not the effects because it looks cheesy as hell now.
Uh-huh.
But it's the fact that why would you want to show a skinless cat? It's the meowing too. It's meows the whole time. It's like meow, meow.
Is it the concept that freaks you out? I mean, when you look back to some of these scenes, it's more the concept than actual the gory part of the movie. Maybe it's the situation.
I don't know. Well, that's the thing. It's like, it's not like the cat killed his friend and now he's torturing the cat.
Yeah.
There was no real subcontext to it via anything that the movie showed so far. Because this is just when they first showed the dude. Mm-hmm. So I guess this is your intro to him and kind of how crazy he is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I guess for that part, but as a kid, I was expecting a little more build-up for this guy to be that wacko. But it doesn't matter how it went down. It's just that scene. Like, that was 35 years ago, man. It's still crazy to me. I don't know. And it's just, and like I said, I couldn't remember anything else in the movie. And when I watched it again, there was really nothing else to remember because it was that bad of a flick. But yeah, it still had that scene. And it's funny because I felt it coming up. Like the dude's like driving in the dark and he comes up to the house and I'm like, oh shit, this is right. This is where it happens. And like my brain still knew when it was coming. It was funny.
Well, that's great. That's great.
So that's my first one, the Kindred, the scene with the cat with no skin.
My first pick is a movie. It's actually a TV movie. It's a two-part TV miniseries that came out in 1980. It was based on a real life tragedy. It was 1980, so I must have been like 4 years old. I was very young. And I think when you're young in that age, you kind of don't really understand horror or really don't understand tragedy or like real life tragedy. And I guess the reason why I was so affected by it is because my mother was watching this movie, and she was really into it and she was really affected by it. And I think when you're that young, you kind of intuitively kind of feel the anxiety of your adults, the adults around you. And so it's a movie about a real life event. It's called Guyana Tragedy, the story of Jim Jones.
We have arrived!
From the beginning, he knew he was different.
It was Jim Jones that made this happen.
What drove him to search for his own paradise on Earth? Why did so many trust their lives to it? What made people yield to him spiritually and physically? How could he blind them to his own adulteries and weaknesses? Based on the true story, Guyana Tragedy, the story of Jim Jones. And now, the television event of the year.
This is the real life story about the 1978 mass murder-suicide in Jonestown, Guyana. Jim Jones is played by the terrific character actor Powers Booth, and he plays the cult leader Jim Jones. And if you don't really remember that story, he is the guy who kind of was run out of town, and I think he was in San Francisco. He had a huge congregation, and he had I don't know how he got the land, but he was able to get this land in Guyana, which is part of the upper part of Africa, and he got this little land in the jungles of Guyana. And he started a commune, a hippie commune, and it's a cult. It was a cult, and it was based on a true story. It's based on part of the story is that there was a congressman who went down there with his staff members and a news crew. They were getting complaints about this cult and how he was abusing the people there. He was holding them hostage, and he was like maybe sexually abusing the women in his cult, and so. The congressman went down there, spent like 2 days there, and on the way back, Jim Jones ordered his assassination, and they killed the congressman. A couple people escaped, but Jim Jones said, well, this is it. This is my downfall. They're definitely coming to get me. So he came up with the decision to kill his congregation, kill all his followers. And how he did it was he laced the Kool-Aid with cyanide.
So this is this is the punch, the space punch.
This is where you get the phrase "Don't drink the Kool-Aid." And so the scene I'm thinking of is very much the last scene of the two-part miniseries. And again, this is like a memory that I didn't know if this happened. Was this a real movie? And I had to look it up. And yeah, it is. It's a scene where he is distributing the Kool-Aid, the cyanide-laced Kool-Aid to the villagers or his people, his followers. And they're knowing full well that they're drinking poison because they think this is kind of part of the radical revolution of this religion. And he's thinking that this, they're coming to get him anyway. So this is kind of a radical stance against the establishment or whatever. And so they're drinking the Kool-Aid, and they kind of, the people are spread out and they're lying on the ground and they're dying and they're dead. And Jim Jones is like sitting on a chair in the middle of this village. He's speaking into a PA system. And, Powers Booth has that great kind of voice, and he's talking into it, and he's like,
I don't know who fired this shot. I don't know who killed the congressman, but as far as I'm concerned, I killed him. He had no business coming. I told him not to come. Oh, free at last, free at last. I tried so very, very hard.
And he was able to convince like nearly everyone in his congregation that this is it. I think a few people were able to escape. It was almost like over 900 people murdered, suicide murder. Over 300 of those victims were kids. So these were adults with their children.
And you said you were a kid when you saw this, right?
I was 4 years old. I was 4 years watching this. Grown adults. They're drinking cyanide.
You love Kool-Aid.
I love Kool-Aid, of course. And I'm watching them die on the TV. And I think I couldn't understand the concept. I guess I was thinking to myself, am I watching a documentary? Am I watching something real? Is this really acting? I guess I knew what acting was.
Yeah, is this the news?
Yeah. And it's also had that kind of early 80s, late 70s kind of feel. It felt like a documentary. And the final scene, this is the scene really, because the final scene is like he's talking in the PA system. He's talking about how, go to sleep, my children, and stuff like that.
We didn't commit suicide. We committed a revolutionary act of suicide, protesting the conditions of an inhumane world.
And the final shot of the movie is like a close-up of Powers Booth as Jim Jones. The camera slowly pulls in into a really tight close-up of his face. And then we hear a gunshot off camera. And his head cocks back and he's dead. And I guess he kills himself. He shoots himself.
So he didn't drink anything? He shot himself?
Apparently he shot himself. And, and after he kills everyone. And then the credit cuts. It cuts to the credit, I'm like, and this is like, 10 o'clock and I have to go to sleep, And back then my mother doesn't
say prayers, go to bed.
Yeah. My mother doesn't explain to me like, I have a parent, I have those type of parents that it really doesn't need to explain a lot. They kind of leave you to your own devices. And she didn't really explain to me what I just saw or what the hell happened. It was only later kind of I heard about the story. But because of this two-part miniseries, I've always been fascinated by the Jim Jones story. But yeah, I think it's a fascinating story, and we know the saying, "Don't drink the Kool-Aid," but it really comes from this really dark place of history, and really, I don't know. It fucking tripped me out, man. It tripped me out. I was 4 years old, and I think that's some really probably, if I think about it, it's really like kind of the first time I realized that there were like real evil in the world,
Yeah.
And this is real stories out there. I don't know. I was freaked out by it.
Especially since the parents didn't help the kids. They had the kids drink the juice.
Yeah,
too.
I think that was the kind of the strangest thing, or the weirdest kind of feeling in your gut when you see the children sleeping with their parents and their adults, and I can't find the movie. I mean, there's a really cheesy, poor quality video on YouTube. You could find that there. But yeah, I would like to. I might have to check this out again. But
that's crazy.
I would say that's really terrific performance by Powers Booth, and this is the first time I noticed Powers Booth as an actor, and he's a guy who I always really loved too.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, this is an incredibly disturbing drama that they aired back then on TV, on public TV.
I'm sure the target audience wasn't 4.
No, it wasn't. And it was late at night, and I maybe shouldn't have watched it. But, I was captivated by it because of, seeing my mother being so obsessed with it. I think she must have read the story, must have heard the story. And she was, I remember feeling that, she is very on edge. And so that made it worse. But, yeah, it's a memory I will always have about that, particularly at the end where he's talking to a whole village of dead people. It's just such a haunting image. All right. So what's your second scene now?
Okay, you know it's weird. I'm looking at the I pulled up on IMDb. I pulled up the movie you're talking about, and Brad Dourif is in there.
Yeah.
Okay, which is funny because he leads me into my second one.
All right.
He's in my second movie. Okay, 1990s Grim Prairie Tales.
What?
I'm gonna tell you a story that'll stick to you like an eyeball to a cactus needle.
There is a grim menace in the West, stalking the weary traveler. Its name is Terror. Grim Prairie Tales.
It's disgusting. It's just sick. Where did you dredge up a story like that?
You liked it.
Grim Prairie Tales.
Okay, this is okay, it stars James Earl Jones, right? Big name.
Yeah.
Brad Dourif. It's also got William Atherton, but anyway. So Brad Dourif is it's set in the Wild West days. So he's traveling. He's going east, and he basically runs into James Earl Jones, who's a bounty hunter, and he's got a body on the back of his horse, and he's going west to collect the bounty. So they cross, and James Earl Jones wants to share his fire, spend the night at the camp, at his little campsite. It's just him alone, Brad Dourif alone. So he says, yeah. So then basically James Earl Jones, like, when people meet like this, they should share something. And so they decide to share stories. Okay. So each side, James Earl Jones has stories, Brad Dourif has stories. So what it is they kind of get into an outdoing each other's story contest. And so during the story contest, and they're all, most of the stories are kind of almost like parables, like the whole Grimm Prairie Tales type of deal, or fairy tales, learn stuff and be wary of things.
Okay.
And so James Earl Jones tells his first story, and Brad Dourif's not too overwhelmed with it, so he goes to tells him the second story. And the second story is that there's a guy, and he's traveling by himself, and he runs across a woman, and she's pregnant. And he asks if he can, if she's going the same way, if she'd like to, travel with him. And, just because it's not safe, blah, blah, blah. She agrees. They strike up a conversation. So, it's either that night or the next night. They're talking by the fire, and she starts to tell him that he's such a nice guy, and that basically she really likes him. And she, from her, where she was pregnant, she pulls out extra set of clothes and a blanket and stuff, and she pulls it out and puts it down, and she goes, I wasn't really pregnant, it's just safer, if she comes across Indians or just men with bad intentions, if she's pregnant, they'd leave her alone, so she pretends to be pregnant. Okay So that makes sense, right? So they're sitting by the fire and they're talking. She starts to basically come on to this guy.
I'm sorry I lied. I had to lie. I couldn't tell whether I could trust you or not, whether or not you were a good man. But you're different, Tom. You are a good man.
You're not pregnant.
I felt safer that way. When people see you're pregnant, they treat you differently. I did it because of the men that came before you. But you're different. I don't want to pretend with you, Tommy. You're a good man. You're a decent man.
And I think he's on his way to meet his wife. And so she's basically teasing, and then he finally can't stand it. And so they start making out, and they start doing it, right? And okay, so this, what year is this movie? Okay, it's 1990, so I'm 13. So, I want to see movies where people are doing it. So, cool. And so, my brother's 2 years younger, so he's 11. We're watching this. So, as, he's on top of her, she's, laying back, whatever. It's not, an X-rated, so they got clothes on. And all of a sudden, the guy's on top, and as he's going, he starts to go, ow, ah, and he starts to scream. He gets sucked into her. They show his butt go flat like a balloon, it disappear, and he folds backwards, his spine goes back to hit his legs, and it all goes almost like they should play the kazoo. It goes, It goes right into her. And all of a sudden she stands up and she's pregnant again.
Oh, shit.
So she's like, all right. She's like, I should be good for a couple more days. And then she like goes through his stuff and grabs what she wants. And then she starts to walk away. That was the end of his story. And so as much as I thought it was like a crazy story, to see it was very odd. And because I'm 13, I'm thinking about, starting to get into like chickies and stuff, you know what I mean? And I'm like, this was like some good information. I'm almost taking notes, hey, this is the better than the birds and the bees talk. So when that guy starts to yell, his ass deflates, dude. I'm telling you, it deflates. And he gets sucked into her, scared the living shit out of me. Like, I was expecting this scene to be cool, and it went very bad, man, very bad. I watched it again last night just to watch, and actually the movie was better than I remember because the stories were really cool. It's 1990 caliber though, you know what I mean, special effects and stuff.
Right.
But yeah, that scene still did freaking give me like a little shiver down the spine. Like, why did I could almost see if it was from the front and the guy kind of disappeared and her belly dropped. Like, you could have shot it differently and it would have been better to take. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like over her shoulder or something, and he just disappears and you assume he got sucked in because her belly got big.
So what was the most disturbing thing? It's the fact that you saw his ass fold inside itself, or what?
That she sucked him in with her cooter, man. I mean, that's a powerful weapon for a woman right there. She'd be able to just suck people through. And the fact that it was just like, she's like, well, we should be good for a couple more days. Like, she pats her stomach, man. Like she's an alien, or that's how she eats. But it was just like, I don't know, she could have been a demon. They didn't even really say it. But it was just like, wow, that was... And I mean, we're talking clothes and everything, dude, went in there. So I don't know if when she was pulling out that night where she was pulling out like the extra clothes, I don't know if that was like, she was just reaching under her dress. Maybe after she finishes digesting, she pulls the clothes out. I don't know, dude. I don't know. I'm thinking way too into that. But Grimm's Prairie Tales, watch it. If you're a big James Earl fan, James Earl Jones, don't let that one get by you.
So was this something that you come across on cable TV, or was this?
No, we rented it. Dude, I tell you, man, we rented I've seen every A to Z cheesy 1990 scary movie at least one time. But this one we actually liked. We rented it a couple times.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah, and that part, it never weirded me out as much as it did the first time. Mm. But I know that when it would come up again, I was always, quote unquote, had somewhere else to look with the butt deflating and the sucking in. Because that part still was weird. I mean, if you got a chance, I don't know if you can, like, YouTube Grim Prairie Tale butt sucking or something, but it is the weirdest looking thing. And it was funny because I couldn't find it on any platform, except the whole movie is available on YouTube for free.
Oh, okay.
So I watched it last night on YouTube. Yeah, but that scene really screwed with my mind. That was a timing thing too, because I think that was because I was just like dangling into puberty. You know what I mean? So that kind of stuff was like, these were things that I was having questions on, but I wasn't asking nobody about.
Yeah. I see what you mean, because like, totally understand, because it I think that it plays with you, especially when that age when you're going through so many changes.
Yeah, because a lot of things you're looking for information. You know what I mean? So you don't have to ask about it. So I'm not saying that I thought that could really happen, but it's just like, damn, dude, really? Now I got to worry about this. Like my whole goal was to get to where he was at, and now I'm like, maybe I should rethink this.
All right, that's great. That's a great pick. That's an interesting pick, man.
Dude, my best thing was that pull through with the Brad Dourif. That was a good arc right there. He left that one for me. That was a good angle into that story.
All right.
Thank you, Brad.
All right. So, for my second pick, my second movie scene, I think this is pretty well known movie. It's no Grim Prairie Tales,
because they're on the prairie.
But this is Cujo from 1983.
Ooh, one of my faves, dude.
Cujo.
Can you get us in here?
Can he eat his way in here? Can he?
My God, I'm losing my baby.
From the novel by Stephen King, creator of Carrie and The Shining, comes a startling vision of fear. Now there's a new name for terror. Cujo.
So, 1983, still very young. Probably 7 years old, 8 years old. Wait, how old? Yeah, 7 years old when I was watching this. Not considered, I surprisingly not considered one of the greater Stephen King adaptations, but I think it's a freaking great movie. I recently watched it.
Yeah, well, it's so hard for him because he's so out there and his books are so good.
Mm-hmm.
You still can't do some of that shit on a movie. It's still too hard to do some of that stuff. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah.
So you got to think back then, it's almost damn near impossible.
Yeah, and this one, this is really kind of straightforward. It's just about a big freaking canine that goes crazy, and that's the plot. But I think it's so well done, and it has a lot of kind of deeper meaning into it. I recently watched it, and I was surprised at how well it still holds up. And Dee Wallace,
great Scream Queen, dude,
great Dee Wallace, and this
Howling.
is E.T. This is probably right after E.T., and she again plays a mother, and she is stuck. You know, the scene I'm thinking of is that she is stuck in her car, her shitty Ford Pinto car, and she's stuck with her little boy while this monstrous Saint Bernard dog, which is infected by a severe case of rabies, is trying to break into the car. And when I was thinking about it, I go, okay, which scene is this? Well, the whole final third act is just basically them stuck in a car. So I guess the scene I was really freaked out by was probably the first scene where the mother realized that there's a monstrous dog out there who wants to kill her and her child. And the scene is where the dog kind of jumps. It's a really great, effective jump scare scene where the dog just jumps into the open car window and tries to, attack. And then she's trying, at the same time, she's trying to unlock the safety belt for her little boy.
Oh, I can't get it. Pull.
Who's her little boy?
The kid from Who's the Boss?
It's like Danny something, right? Like
Panero.
Yeah, because he was like a big for gay actors and movie stars.
Yeah, someone who came out later in life. One of the best performances of a little boy I ever seen. I mean, this is up there with Haley Joel Osment in The Sixth Sense. I think it's a tremendous performance by this kid.
Oh, there's no mom. No, baby. It's not a monster. It's just a doggy.
They do a great job of stress in that movie because they got the dog. It's like 1,000 degrees.
Yeah.
The boy's got asthma. You know what I mean? He's sweating his ass off. So's the mom.
They had to take off their clothes just because of the heat. It's a wonderful third act. I mean, one of the best third acts of a horror movie, especially for a Stephen King film.
And especially since, dude, it's 2 people and a dog.
Yeah, simple.
It's not. Yeah, it's a very, very small, easy, straight line, and he does such a good job.
Back then, I think you forget how vulnerable we were driving cars, especially without cell phones. Like if someone was driving on the road in the 80s, that's it. You can't. There's no way to contact them. They're on the road.
You're fucked. You wait for someone to come by.
Like I have a memory of my father and me and my siblings, my sister and brother. The car broke down in the freeway. My dad had to walk out and go get a mechanic, and it took forever. It took hours, and we're stuck in the middle of the not in the middle of the freeway, but on the side of the freeway. It was like kind of the freeway exit, and the cop showed up, and then saying, "Where's your dad? Or where's your parents?" Really, and we're like, "He's gone to get a mechanic," and it was like kind of freaky. I mean, we're stuck. We were stuck in a car, and we're stuck. The cops are here, and we don't know
that shit is traumatizing right there.
Well, I don't know where my dad went. I mean, he maybe just forgotten us, So
he's gone, mister.
And I just remember thinking it took forever. It took forever. And that kind of the thing that conjures up when I'm watching this scene. You're so vulnerable when you're in this car and you have your parent there. And this fucking dog, man, doesn't want to quit. And it's a really great movie. And I want to really just say that I think rewatching it, there's kind of like an underlying premise here about, infidelity. The mother is like not a perfect mother. She is.
She was banging the tennis guy or something, right?
Yeah, or like the carpenter
that's right.
The handyman guy. And she's a totally flawed person. And so she's sleeping with this guy behind her husband's back, and the husband's so busy at work, and that's the marriage is falling apart. And then the whole third act becomes this kind of, this whole kind of survival thriller about how, this mother needs to muster up this enough courage and fortitude to not only save herself, but also save her son. And the movie kind of challenges you. Do you really root for this person? And I think at the end of the day, you do, because it's such a humanistic type of vulnerable feeling that you get from the movie. I was really shocked at how well this it's still held up, and it's a great horror movie. It's a great thriller. It's a great survival thriller. I think it's one of the better films that came out in the early 80s. And
I gotta get my kids to watch this. Yeah, they would love it. It's so basic, but they would like it.
It's fantastic. I think it's and the dog itself is kind of like a symbolism of a broken marriage. Really, that dog is like kind of it's like an allegory for dread in a marriage and a family. If you conquered this dog, then you could save the marriage. Really, I think it's a really interesting film.
Well, wait. So it's the actual. It's not one 4-minute scene. It's the actual whole third act that is the scarring part.
I would say the first scene where she is locked in the car for the first time. That would be the most traumatizing thing.
Okay.
Because when I think about it, it was very vague in what I remember of that movie, and only when I rewatched it, I kind of figure out, okay, so it must have been this scene. But yeah, I mean, for those who don't know the movie, she is having car trouble with her car, her Ford Pinto, by the way. And she goes to a local mechanic who lives in this farmhouse.
Which is weird because he's like a farmer.
Yeah, he lives in this farmhouse, and his dog has rabies. Like, I think it was bitten by a bat, and goes crazy and kills them.
Yeah, I think, and it's funny because they roll that over the credits, right?
Yeah.
The opening credits, he chases a bat into a hole, or a rabbit. And then there's a bat, and the bat comes and bites him on the nose. And
Yeah. So she's there, and she's already having car trouble anyway, so she can't drive away. That's the whole idea of it. And so she's like stuck there for a couple of days. Yeah, like almost a day and a half or so.
She only had a little bit of water,
and it's hot because they had to roll up the windows, and it's hot. It's a terrific movie. It's a really terrific movie.
And then one of the favorite parts is that doesn't like I think the dad gets killed or somehow the dad's missing. His family's gone, so they keep calling the house. And every time the phone rings, the dog goes insane and starts to like ram the car and stuff.
Yeah, the dad separated, and they were going to take a break, and I think he was off on a business trip, and then he said, "Fuck this, I'm going to save my marriage." And then he notices like his wife is gone and his son is gone. Now he's thinking that they took off, but then he finds out, oh no, something's going on here, and he tries to call, and it's so funny because the boy, the kid, the tremendous, like I said, a tremendous performance by this kid from Who's the Boss, and he's crying for his dad, and D-Wall is like, "Oh, can I get your dad?" Like.
She's selling it big time.
She is perfect, pitch perfect in this role, and she's the best thing about it. I mean, I really love. I'm telling you, I was shocked how well this movie holds up.
Yeah, no, it's a good one, dude. It's a really good one.
So that's my second pick. Cujo, family stuck in a car because of freaking dog.
That's good.
It scared the shit out of me.
That was a very good one. That's good. Okay, I'm gonna go with my third and final entry. Dreamscape.
Oh shit.
Alex Gardner has a unique talent, and even he doesn't know what it can do.
Going into another person's dream. If I have to see that to believe it.
He is about to enter a world that no one has ever seen before. The world of your dreams.
It's a dream, Alex. Do anything you want in here.
Dennis Quaid, Kate Capshaw, Dreamscape. When you close your eyes, the adventure begins.
Okay, 1984, Dennis Quaid. I have a thing with, like Freddy, anything that I don't think it's fair that you can come at me in my dreams. Because that's the one thing, it should be private. It should be my own. It should be untouchable. But as we know, that's what makes it even more taboo. That's why they do it. Okay. This is a hit or miss. A lot of people have seen it, a lot of people haven't. My mom, like, for most of the movies that I watched when I was younger that I shouldn't have, this is her. She used to love this movie. I don't know if she loved Dennis Quaid or what, but okay. There's actually two scenes. Okay, this is the sub scene. There's a scene where, okay, so basically what it is Dennis Quaid. He gets the power to go into your dream. Like, he can sleep in the next room if you're sleeping. He somehow has found the ability to go into your dream. And he knows it's a dream, so he can manipulate stuff, whatever. So, the first part that always weirded me out, and this is just a little bonus, is that there's a scene where he goes in and there's a wife and she's banging like the neighbor.
Oh my God!
George!
He actually goes into a dream to help a guy that thinks his wife's cheating. And the guy's like, come on, let's go upstairs. We could catch her in the act. And you hear her having sex. And he goes upstairs and it's a chick and his wife, and she's having sex with another guy.
And with my own brother?
Hi, George.
And the guy that he went into his dream, he's like, look, there she is right now. And she's banging the guy. And he's like, how could you do this? And he goes, in front of the children. And you turn, and there's two kids sitting in a chair, like lined up next to the bed, watching their mom bang the stranger guy.
In front of the children.
And then he's like, and then he goes, as mentioned, he goes, in front of the priest, and then next to the kids is a priest. Okay, that part always weirded me out, man. Because these kids, I know what they cut, you know what I mean? So it's like, when they panned over, there really wasn't two naked people banging in a bed, you know what I mean? Because these kids were like 5 and 6 years old. Anyway, that part always weirded me out. But my actual entry.
Oh, okay.
Okay, do you remember the movie Dreamscape?
Very little. Very little. I gotta rewatch it though. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so there's another bad guy in this movie, and he's also able to enter dreams. But what they do is they have this guy, and he goes and he's found out how to kill people. So basically, people are using government's going to use him as an assassin to kill the president. So anyway, he enters a dream, and he watches the main guy, and this main guy, he's fighting somebody, and this person turns into this cobra-headed creature. Person's body, but his head morphs into a cobra, like with the hood and everything.
I know something you're really afraid of, Alex.
That was the scariest thing I've ever seen in my life, dude. I mean, like, eyes like a cobra, but like where a person's would be. The tongue and the whole, like, but the body, dude. And Dennis Quaid, he gets freaked out at the same exact time I was freaking out. So I'm like, okay, it's not just me being a kid. This is some scary shit. And, oh my God, that, for weeks, that thing was after me in my dreams. Like, I couldn't even a cat nap in the afternoon, I wake up sweating because that thing was coming after me. Dude, if you could just Google it, cobra-headed guy from whatever, Dreamscape, dude, that was the scariest thing. But later on in the movie, the anti-hero, his name is David Patrick Kelly.
Yeah.
who my favorite thing in Commando was he was the guy that Schwarzenegger dropped. He goes, "Remember when I told you I'd kill you last? I lied," and he lets him go. He's also in 48 Hours. He's the guy that has the car.
I've been busy.
Yeah. Get this. It's been here for 18 years.
I've been busy.
They call the.
It was he was also in the Warriors with the Warriors come out and play.
He's when you see his face, it's hard to not know.
Yeah.
But ever since this movie, I can't stand that guy because what he does is later in the movie, he's actually him and Dennis Quaid are fighting through dreams, and he knows that Dennis Quaid's afraid of that thing. So at the very end, he turns into that thing just to get the upper hand on Dennis Quaid because Dennis Quaid gets scared. So when he turns into this thing, it's the cobra-headed thing, but it still looks like kind of the guy. And I want to say it like talks and everything, so it got even scarier.
Why, Tommy? Why do it? Why, Tommy?
Daddy?
I love you, Tommy.
Daddy, I'm sorry.
I hate that guy now, like Patrick Kelly guy, David Patrick Kelly. I don't like anything he's in. I like the Schwarzenegger dropped him. I want to say that I watched it again, but I didn't because I remember after a couple more times of watching it, it didn't get less scary. That it got more scary because every time I watched it, I picked up more details. So that every time I dream about it, you know what I mean? So I maybe I'll try it again as an adult, but I haven't seen it since I've been an adult.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. If you bet me $5, maybe I'll watch it. But
no, but you were able to detail all the scenes together.
Oh yeah, dude, stuck to my ribs. Yeah. No.
Was this a movie that you rented or?
No, my mom used to watch this shit all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I think I used to come in at different parts and I never watched the whole thing. And then all of a sudden, I think we got a VCR early in life.
Uh-huh.
Like we won it, or somehow instead of a Christmas, they spent all the money on like when VCRs were like $500, and we would tape like Showtime and HBO.
Oh yeah.
Because I want to say we had this movie, and when you put it in the VCR, the HBO logo used to come up first, like the old school. And so I think, she taped it off of that, and it was one of her go-to movies. And I had never seen that part, and then when I finally saw the whole movie in its entirety, it scared me to death. And then, like, I'd walk in, like, the house, like, for playing. I was like, I'm tired, I'm gonna sit down. And I walk in the room, and she'd be watching, and then I wouldn't even sit down, I'd just make a circle and come back out, like, nope. Looks like I'm gonna play G.I. Joe's in my room. You know what? I'd still rather not watch it. Just thinking about it, I think... I'm gonna give that one I'm gonna retire that movie.
All right. I mean, it's a cult classic. I mean, a lot of people love Dreamscape, and you know what? I gotta check that out. I totally forgot.
It's a great concept. You know what I mean? Like I can enter people's dreams, and then it's the whole like. Remember how you back in the day with the what was it called when you could actually wake up in your dream, but you're still in the dream?
Oh yeah. Lucid
dreaming. Yeah, that's a great concept. So imagine if you could go into somebody else's dream and do that. You'd be like all powerful.
So for my final pick, my final scene, I went with a classic. It's Poltergeist, 1982.
They're here. I don't know what hovers over this house. Never sensed anything like it.
That thing is in there with my baby.
They're hundreds.
Poltergeist. It knows what scares you.
Again, I was very young. I was probably the same age as the boy in the film. I mean, I was like 6 years old. And, obviously everyone knows about Poltergeist. This is the classic ghost movie, supernatural thriller, produced
Supposed to be haunted.
produced by Steven Spielberg, directed by Tobe Hooper from Texas Chainsaw Massacre fame, and a really great cast. So actually, when I think about it, there's so many scenes in this movie that I could pick from. There's the tree outside the window scene. The boy gets sucked in the tree. That's fucking freaky. You got the creepy doll scene, again, this is a fantastic horror movie. There's also the scene with Carol Ann getting sucked into the closet. So that could have been one scene. And really not to mention all the scary shit that the parents went through. And so there's so many scenes I picked from.
And this movie was like a cultural phenomenon, like the whole "they're here," you know what I mean? You would see that in commercials and other selling cars. And this movie changed a lot of people.
It's probably one of their first scary movies. And this I think this probably was my first, traditional scary movie that I saw in a movie theater.
And it was almost like up to this point, it would be taboo to make a movie about something like this for fear that this was going to actually happen to you, because just to be safe, let's not make this movie, just to be safe.
And I think a lot of people may not realize that this was PG and that whole families could go to watch it. And it's one of the scariest movies of the 80s. And so the scene I remember was really, and this makes a lot of sense if you know me, it's the dude eating the late night leftover chicken scene. It's the guy who, he's one of the paranormal investigators, and he's the guy with the glasses. And it's, it's the scene, it's late at night, and he's looking for something to eat. And he goes to the kitchen and he opens the refrigerator door and he pulls out a chicken drumstick and he puts it in his mouth. And he also pulls out a slab of uncooked meat and he lays it on the kitchen counter. And then he pulls out a frying pan and then he hears like these strange sounds. And then he turns around and he sees the meat. The meat is slowly crawling across the counter. And he walks up to it, and the meat starts to explode from inside. And he spits out the chicken drumstick onto the floor, and then he sees that the drumstick is filled with maggots. So all this is kind of like already freaking out. I was freaking out.
And already you can't drink punch anymore.
Yeah, I know. But I think the real kicker of this kind of sequence is that he runs to the bathroom to throw up and wash out his mouth. And he kind of looks up into the bathroom mirror. I guess it's not the bathroom, it's the washroom. It's right next to the laundry room, I guess. And in the washroom, the light starts to glow red. It's like kind of looks like a microwave or something. And he's looking in the mirror and his skin starts to peel. And then big bloody chunks of his face starts to fall into the sink. And like for a minute there, you could see his bloody skeleton face before it zaps back to normal. And I think that's the thing that freaked me the fuck out. That's the scene I'm like, oh, what the fuck, man? This is so fun. And maybe it's because it started really slow and it's late night and it's, some of the characters were whispering, they're like, next day's going to be a big day. Get some rest,
Hey, lady. Hey, Dad.
I love you.
Good night, Carol Ann.
And that started this kind of feeling, this unqueasy feeling. And then we get to that late night in the kitchen. Because I think we all kind of, we all been there, late night in the kitchen. And it feels so eerie when there's no sound. And
you expect to be, it's just you. You know what I mean? The whole world's asleep and it's only you that's there.
Yeah, and there's an uneasiness to that quietness. But also it ramps up. It ramps up into to the bathroom scene, and he's looking in the mirror, and then his face falls off. I don't know. It's just an incredible sequence, and I loved it. I mean, I loved it now. Back then, I was terrified, and it was one of the movies that freaked me out when I was a kid. And when I watched it in theaters, I think I just closed my eyes because I don't remember it. The scene, the reason I picked this scene is because of the memory I have of watching it on VHS, and it's me in the living room with my brother and sister, and also my cousins came over. They would come over during that time during holidays, so it must have been something near holiday, and they're like a little bit older than me. I was kind of the youngest in the group, And we're all watching Poltergeist, and I was just so freaked out by that scene, particularly that scene. Although I could have probably picked the whole everything else in the movie.
Yeah,
but that
movie sticks to you.
That moment where the face falls, the chunks of his face fall into the sink, and the skeleton, I don't know, it's something about it. It's just
wow. That's so wouldn't have got a PG now.
Oh, no
just
way.
Gruesome. Yeah.
I mean, because I think at the time it was no PG-13. I don't think it would have gotten a PG-13 anyway. But
well, I think it was just nudity and cussing back then.
Yeah,
they didn't give a shit about anything brutal or gory.
Yeah, and maybe that's the reason why we have become so hardened with our generation, because we could take some of this shit. I mean, we saw Jim Jones' story when I was 4 years old. I mean, that was available for public television. So I mean,
yeah, it was on regular TV.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think maybe I don't know.
Maybe we should make some of these mandatory watches for kids in public school. Time to toughen America up.
But Poltergeist, a fucking classic. It's one of my favorite horror movies, and probably one of the reasons why I kind of left horror genre until later in life. I think I didn't really picked up it during my teen years. I kind of later in my early 20s, I kind of.
So wait, you never watched the sequels?
No.
Really? 2 was just as scary. It had a whole Indian burial ground going.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I heard about the horrible story about the girl who plays Carol Ann.
Yeah.
And there was all these rumors about the cast too. I mean,
that they were haunted.
Dominic Dunn, who plays the older sister in the family, she was murdered right before the release of the film. She was,
the tie-in on that one to our first podcast.
Griffin Dunn's sister.
Griffin Dunn's sister, baby.
Yeah. This is an incredibly kind of haunting behind the scenes kind of stories. But yeah,
well, they also sadly said that this it killed Craig T. Nelson's career. Because he was big in TV. No, because he still had Coach, right? Coach was after this.
And he's also the voice of Incredibles, Mr. Incredible.
Yeah, okay. So maybe the mean part 3 killed it.
Was he in part 3?
There was a third. No, you know what? I don't think he was in 3. 3 was like a weird high rise. I think the only one left in 3 was the girl. The blonde. Heather O'Rourke or whatever.
Yeah, Heather O'Rourke. Yeah, I remember that story about how she kind of died very young and tragically.
They did all kinds of weird bullshit folklore, urban legend stuff, right, with her?
Yeah, don't you remember the rumors about her?
Dude, it was horrible, and I don't want to repeat it, but
yeah.
Wasn't it that? Yeah, there's it involved a feminine product that she didn't know that she was supposed to take out.
So I wasn't the only one who. I fucking heard that in high school, and I'm like, shit.
Dude, it's got its own name. It's like
toxic
sepsis syndrome.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it makes sense. Everything comes out of your body, then it becomes toxic, and then went back into her body.
But that's
gotta be bullshit.
That was bullshit, because I think it was an intestinal problem that she had.
Yeah, it's a horrible thing to make her to. Yeah. How sad though, because I mean that kind of stuff. It just shows you what kind of people. What people like remember, you know what I mean? If it was something good about her or whatever, we wouldn't have had the same story that we remembered hearing.
Yeah, I know. The good thing about the internet, we could double check on these things.
Yeah, fact check that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but anyway, it's just an incredible movie, and
definitely watch that if you haven't seen it.
Fantastic movie, great for beginners if you want something to introduce you to the horror genre. It's a fantastic movie.
You know what sucks, dude? This one, okay, so we got 6 movies between us. 2 of mine I'm recommending you don't watch. And yours like are all classics or do watch. Yeah, like Dreamscape, you can watch it, everybody watch it, but don't watch Kindred, horrible. Grim Prairie Tales, if you get mad when you watch it, I didn't recommend it. But then I'm telling people, watch Cujo if you haven't. It's such a good movie. Definitely watch Poltergeist, so good. Jim Jones, leave that up for them to decide. But you had some pretty good watches right there.
Well, I mean, it really shows you the differences between us growing up. I mean, you were a guy who kind of went to the local video store and got everything. I wasn't that. I was kind of more of a guy who I guess more mainstream stuff, or I would watch more kind of stuff that came out much later, I guess.
Well, I think what it was we would always walk in on my mom watching something, and she wouldn't tell us to leave. So that's how we got our affinity for horror. Like Silver Bullet, probably one of my favorite movies.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I remember watching it. I sat down and she was watching it.
Oh, wow.
And like she didn't say leave. It was about a little kid, and a werewolf. So it's like, I don't know. It's like she didn't make it. Oh, you shouldn't be watching this. I think the only thing she ever did that was like stuff with like. Okay, put it this way. I was allowed to watch that. I was allowed to watch anything. She drew the line at Purple Rain.
Really?
Because there was some crazy sex scene.
Yeah.
She said it was too dirty. I still haven't seen it.
Are you kidding me? That's a fantastic movie.
Saw it. No.
It's a great...
My mom never told me it was okay. She just told me not to watch it.
It's look, it's not it's going to win any Oscars,
Okay,
but it's a fantastic, musical biopic, or not biopic, but a musical drama, and it's Prince in his prime. It's like one of the great kind of.
Oh, I love Prince too. I'll take your word for it though, because my mom told me not to, and I listen to what my mama says.
All right,
but yeah, it was just funny though what her line, where she drew the line.
Yeah. Sex.
Sex. I got pissed too because my sister's only 2 years older than me, and she got to watch it. I'm pretty sure I had sex before her. There you go, Ma. Way to screw that one up.
All right, we'll end it there then. All right, thank you for listening to Terrortinos. I guess we'll have more episodes coming soon. Thank you for listening. What else can we say?
Wait, I want to do my recommends. Is it cool? Or
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, because I was telling you that I do watch modern movies. I was thinking about it. I watch like way too many movies, like for hours a week. Like I must not sleep or something. I think it's the whole. I used to waste so much time on my commute to work, but now that I work from home. But recent movies I watched, super good. I'm recommending. First one is it's a thriller, Hunter x Hunter. Very good flick. I don't want to tell you anything about it. I'm just in the beginning. It might be almost a little confusing, but it's one of those ones where they throw you into the mix and you kind of put it together, and then it comes together and it starts rolling. Really good. If you're a big horror fan, you like monsters, mostly mythical stuff. Headhunter. Right now, I think it might only be available on Shudder, or if you have a different way to watch flicks, try it. About a Viking that needs to get revenge for the thing that killed his kid. So basically, anytime something anywhere is found, like any kind of a creature, they basically give him the signal and he goes out, finds it, and kills it. Great flick. And then the last one, man, what was it? There was a third one. Yeah, Wolf of Snow Hollow. Little cheese, but as far as werewolf movies go, it's on par. It's good. I recommend you guys watch it. It's a independent kind of movie. Writer director is the main guy, I think. So check that one out.
3 great picks for you to check out. Some options there because the movies that we were talking about earlier, you don't want people to see. So you got 3 alternatives here.
Exactly. So for the time I've wasted with those other ones, I'll give you some positive to put in there.
All right. Thank you for listening to Terrortinos. We'll be back with a new episode, hopefully very soon. But yes, please pay attention to this podcast, and we'll have great content in the future months ahead.
As long as one person listens, we'll keep doing it.
Oh, of course. This is great fun for us. All right. Thank you for listening, and bye-bye.
Later, guys.